there, Commercial Construction Coffee Talk fans. Thanks for chiming in. My name's David Corson. I'm your host. I'm also the publisher and editor of Commercial Construction Renovation magazine. I got a little halo for my life, but that's what it used to look like. We stopped printing when all 100% digital in August of 21. And this is from October of 2020. And Ganthorn Suites, Eleanor Alvarez, the CEO, we thank her for being on the cover. And very hefty issue as usual. Let's see what happened. This was 144 pages. Let's see what I was doing. Oh, I'm riding bikes with my kid in front of the trophy house that I sold back in October of 2020. Actually, the same time this was. So anyway, it was awesome riding with my kid. He's an FAA mechanic. He just moves in Charleston for 3 years and just resigned from Boeing, and now he's at the Charlie Brown or Peachtree DeKalb Airport above downtown Atlanta. He's an FAA mechanic, and he's working on some serious corporate jets and turboprops. And anyway, my wife's ecstatic. He moved home on June 2nd, and this is basically his first, no, last week was his first week of work. So he's making the ride. He's like, oh my God, being in corporate Boeing, everything was like unbelievably tight with sign off on everything. And, listen, they've had some bad PR lately. And anyway, now he's in a smaller shop, and he's like, oh my God, it's like night and day working for a smaller company. Everybody's laid back. And, I'm so glad I made the move. But Boeing was great. Boeing, if you're listening out there, you guys were great to my son. My son learned, he worked in the plant. He was a flight ops out on the, on the 787s, working on anything that needed to be done. You guys were awesome. I have no problem with you. Okay. So, but it was a great experience, but the writing was on the wall. I just said, hey, Charleston's a great place to live, living at the beach town, but you know what? Hey, come back to the ATL, all your buds are pilots or whatever, your mom will be psyched to have you home. So, just exciting, life's short. You don't get to touch base with your kids. You talk to them on the phone if they don't live in the same city as you. And so my wife's like, yay, he's coming home. So
Sunday dinners and spending time together.
Yeah. So with that said, I have a special guest from my hometown in Manhattan. And her name is Gina Rivera. She's the executive director for PWC, and they're a nonprofit, and they help women in diversity in architecture, engineering, construction, and some other sectors. So Gina, say hello to our audience out there on Commercial Construction Coffee Talk.
Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for having me, David. I appreciate it.
No, absolutely. We're honored to have you. And the way it's going to work, we'll do it in we'll do your interview in 3 parts. First part, you'll tell your story, where you grew up, where you went to school, and how you ended up at PWC. Then we'll talk about lessons learned from the last 3 to 4 years of the roller coaster that we've all been on. Even though we've come out of the tunnel, there's still a couple little bumps and potholes that we were going through, and that our audience might find of interest. And then you'll leave one positive thought or phrase and your contact info. So if anybody want to reach out to you and bounce some questions off you about your organization, et cetera, they'll be able to. So with that said, the floor is yours. Tell us your story.
Thank you. Well, my story is an interesting one to bring me to PWC, which is Professional Women in Construction. So I went to school. I grew up in Massachusetts. I grew up a Red Sox and a Patriots fan. I share that actually very early on, sometimes when I'm doing sponsorship outreach, to get that moment of awkwardness out right away. I hail from Massachusetts, but I am totally a lover of New York. I absolutely adore New York City. So I grew up in Massachusetts. I studied at Wagner College, actually, on Staten Island. So that was my first segment in New York, was to come to Staten Island. I actually studied arts administration. So I was in the music business world for 17 years before coming to PWC. I was at a music agency for the first 5 years out of school, classical music agency representing conductors and instrumentalists. Then I did a little stint of world music touring with a small company out of New York called World Music Institute. And I spent a few years with them. And then I landed at Lincoln Center, and I was a producer at Lincoln Center on the programming team, the artistic planning team for them for 10 years. Before the pandemic. And during the pandemic, I had the opportunity to pivot, to find out where did I want my energy and effort to go to next. And I think that in that, in the years leading up to the pandemic, I think that my time with Lincoln Center looked like it was about to end. Where did I want to go? Where did I want to make an impact? Lincoln Center is a nonprofit as well. And of course, it's a very big corporate-like. I very much identified with the going from corporate to non-corporate because my world was a nonprofit corporate-esque feeling. Lincoln Center is a big ship and you move in small degrees. Where could I make an impact in something that was a little bit smaller, a nonprofit that I could, see, share my talents, share my experience. So during the pandemic, there was no performing arts happening. And I made the decision to see what else I could get involved with, use my nonprofit skills and my event producing skills to support something that I was passionate about. I actually kind of organically came in touch with professional women in construction. A girlfriend of mine who was working at the time on capital projects and reconstruction at Lincoln Center, who's actually now at Juilliard. She's the director of capital projects. She had introduced me to the former executive director and, some of the work opportunities that were here. And that's what got me here back in June of 2021. I've been with the company since June of 21 and, spent the last 3 years kind of understanding where the organization has been. PWC has been in existence since 1980 with the effort and energy of, 8 women banding together. If we bring ourselves together, our voices will be heard. And then just kind of following that interest of women gathering specifically to talk about their work experience in the construction industry and the professional side of construction. So architecture, engineering, construction management, and other design related fields. That's primarily the core of what we are. Our membership body has grown since 1980. Now, PWC New York is one of 6 chapters. I am the executive director of the New York chapter, but we have Boston, Philly, Connecticut, New Jersey, and Chicago, and then New York. Yeah. And New York is the founding chapter, so we're still toting ourselves to remain the largest. I know that Chicago is the most recent chapter, but they are also in an area where there's plenty of interest in a group, an organization to support a platform for women to grow in their careers, gain momentum, understand other experiences of others who've been in the field, and also not excluding men. I think that's something to highlight just as we talk through, what PWC is at its core, what its mission is. It's also not to exclude men, to make sure that women are being elevated, but men need to be at the table in order for that to happen. So that's how I got to here.
I actually found out about PWC. Your publicist had sent me a press release, and we started a student newsletter in the beginning of the year. We've been working on that project for about 6 or 8 months, and they had sent me the press release. They said, "Hey, I need a couple of banners to launch this thing. Send me a banner, and I'll put it on there." And now I've put out now 4 issues. My 5th one's coming out in a couple of weeks, and we're all about the trades, and in construction, we need people, male, female. It doesn't matter. Yes. I don't care if you want to be a man one day or a girl one day. It doesn't matter in today's mental, just in general, life in general here in the States. So, but there's a shortage of labor. So the more women that we can, and the more people that we can get in there, and believe me, we want the women in there. I never, when I got into construction, well, let me step back. My family's been in construction since 1888 in Philadelphia. So as one of the grandsons, I had to work in the scrapyard when I got my license at 16. The daughters, it wasn't, now they probably were working there, but back then probably wasn't, just the grandsons did it. But I showed asbestos, I worked in the scrapyard, I laid railroad tracks, I did all that stuff. Now my cousins are running it. And but I come from a construction background, and when I launched my magazine, a lady, one of my subscribers said, "Why don't you have more ladies on your cover?" I said, "I don't know. Let me go." And so I went back and looked at the subscriber base, and I found out about half of my circulation was female. And I didn't understand how, most of the women are in shopping. It's not a man, some men like it, I'm just being in general here, but I always thought, I was like, it's just weird that men are designing women's, places to shop or dressing rooms and so forth. And they're not a woman. They know kind of, so they know how, why the aisles need to be if you're in a retail, store, and so I always kind of was like, we should have more women on there. And then it evolved, and I did a women's retreat. Now I have a women's column every month. and I kind of split the covers up. I like to rotate it around where I'll have a male, female, but
Right.
we give it as much.
Because they're out there, and I'm sure that's probably something you discovered quite quickly, is that there are women who for generations have been involved in the construction industry, and the very same thing you're talking about, where there's the opportunity for family legacy, to carry on, not necessarily only in a male heir's name, but also, we have plenty of members of PWC who are taking over a family business, and they are the leader, and the face of the company now as a female in the construction industry. And, they come to PWC either for, to find others who are facing the same challenges, and also to find opportunity and connection. I mean, I think one of the pillars of what we want to offer our members is the community sense, right? You're coming here to be part of a community, but there's also the opportunity to get women business. If women are getting business, they'll be elevated in their organization or in their company. And I think that's a key element of what we offer at PwC New York.
Well, like I said, I've been a publisher for almost, well, since I was at Nielsen. So I left Nielsen right after 9/11 in New York, December 17th, 2001, went on my own, and I'm still standing today. But the
There you
amount
go.
of women that were on my circulation has probably doubled compared to what it was, 20 some odd years ago. And now it's very exciting to see the biggest thing is, women and men are completely wired differently. They just are up here. And but they both have their attributes where if they can work together, so knowing that, you do cater to the man and you don't lock them out, that's a positive thing, because you're on a
Absolutely.
team. Sometime you might have a male or female architect and or an engineer or whatever it might be on a project, and you need to know how to communicate correctly versus, hey, I'm talking to a woman or I'm talking to a man. I've got, it's just one of those dynamics. So we try to, promote as many females as we can, because like I said, there's a labor shortage. Just like my son, he didn't go to college. He was working with his hands and
Hmm.
to, be a tech. And first he was going to be an auto tech. I was like, if you don't have your own shop, you're not going to make the big bucks. Then he was going to be a motorcycle tech. I said, you got to do it, all year long. You got to do it in a warm state. And then we took the tour of the local facility here, called AIM, Aviation Institute of Maintenance, and took the program, got his A&P license, which is airframe and power. And now he can work on anything that has a jet engine. He could be on a boiler in a hospital. He could be on an aviation platform. Uh,
That's excellent. And look at all those work opportunities that can come out of that. That's really
Well, what
wonderful.
well, what was crazy was he called me up. He's like, Dad, I think I need to make a change. And I said, well, put your resume out there. He had 5 job offers. I flew down to Dallas like a month ago and looked at this beautiful. We were on an $80 million jet that he was going to work on. Uh,
Wow.
and he had an ambulatory place local here in Atlanta. There was he had 5 job opportunities, but he took the one down at EPS, and they're getting bought out by a Swedish firm, so that name's going to change. But anyway, uh,
Yeah.
so I went through the trade school thing and um, saw how it worked. And there were some females in his class as well, which was good to see. And it's just amazing what's out there. And when we were doing our student newsletter, I kind of built that database up. I went through the top 50 cities, and I scrape, I'm a digital guy, so I scrape the internet for contacts and whatever. But
Yeah, of course.
I found I didn't realize how many schools there were out there that were in the trades, and all these, tier one for sure, but tier two and tier three. And we built a database that we send it out to. And my thing was, whether you're male or female, for filling whether you want to be a welder, HVAC tech, construction management.
Yeah, none of those jobs have any gender associated with them, right? You don't need
No.
to identify someone in order for them to learn the skill, to have the qualifications.
Yeah, exactly. And so when I was looking at it, and what was amazing was when I just put trade schools in, when I was searching, there was lobotomy schools, there were the cosmetic gig. Maybe some of those women want to go into construction, never thought about it. So,
Right.
and my editor, this was kind of his little pet project. He's like, oh, we don't want to send it to the cosmetic. I'm like, no, 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 no. I'm telling you, there's going to be women there going to be like, man,
Send it everywhere.
I could probably make a lot more money, have a bigger career path in construction, or becoming a welder or whatever. I could write my own
Yeah.
business. and own it than going that route. So, and if you don't get them in early,
and the opportunity for the wage gap. I mean, like, I think that, there is certainly statistics on the wage gap between men and women in the construction field being the smallest, that there's a much smaller wage gap between men and women in this industry. There's also some benefit to the work schedule being earlier in the day. If you're starting, you certainly do start early in the construction industry, very different from the music industry that I come from. But I felt that there is some schedule synergy if you are someone who has a family, someone who has other responsibilities outside of work. If your schedule is a little bit earlier, sometimes that can complement the work that you do. I actually love to hear you say that. My cousin went to a tech school, and she was a carpentry student, and she was maybe the only female in her class at that time. But as she kept moving through other avenues of her world, she came in contact with more licensed carpenters and women who are in these trades. As you're saying, sharing it with other entities, making sure that other groups who aren't segmented into like, oh, you belong in this box and we will only give you information pertaining to that box. Now, making sure that students in any space, in any trade space, know about the opportunities and also the potential income increases that you could, elevate yourself to by moving up through these ranks. Hugely important and very instrumental to part of what we strive to do as well.
you can take a look at like the top 100 retailer, restaurants and hotels, multifamily, shopping center developers, architects, engineers, and you can look at upper management, and you will, maybe 20 years ago, you wouldn't have seen as many females, but now it is just female dominated. It's amazing. It's almost 50-50, give or take, depending on what day that you look at it. But the gap is has really come close. And a lot of people that have been around that I've known, some people are starting to retire. I'm going to be 61 in a couple of weeks, so I could probably do this for the next 20 years as long as I don't get arthritis or I lose my sight. But other than that, a lot of these guys are going to retire, and some of these, women that are in the ranks are going to become, the vice president or senior vice president of construction, architecture, engineering, whatever it might be, project management.
Right.
And it's exciting to see that. And so I really don't, I just want, labor's the biggest thing with me because there's a serious labor shortage, and too many kids get caught up in, oh, I want to go to University of Florida State because they have a beautiful, commons and the pool and all that. And then they ring up all this debt and they come out with a piece of paper that's not worth the paper it's printed on.
Yeah.
And
I agree. No, and making sure that young people are aware of their options, of their opportunities. PWC certainly focuses on making sure that there's information shared around work opportunities. We run a scholarship program, so we're supporting students in the AEC industry and their studies. And then also sharing with them the opportunity of what being part of an association would help them do, what being part of them. I am finding that as people move out of this kind of secluded place, or the place where they were just behind their computer screens, how valuable it is to have networking opportunities for young people who are just less exposed to that. That this is maybe some of the networking opportunities that we're providing are some of the first ones they're going to. They have social clubs and organizations through school, but I do think that getting into a professional organization where you get to meet people within your field, or that could introduce you to a crossover point, there's an opportunity for you to move up or move into a new direction. So mentorship is also a program that we offer, and that's something that I feel brings tangible value to our member. If they would like to be involved in the membership program, it gives them that opportunity to introduce themselves to other opportunities within the city, within the world of construction, because there is a lack of awareness, right? Even for some folks who, studied architecture and have a degree in architecture, but they don't realize that there are other opportunities for them to take that degree in other places, in other directions.
I had a girl named Abby on my podcast. Now it's probably been 18 months. Anyway, she went to flooring installer school. She went to one of the trade schools and whatever, but she's like, oh, maybe flooring's my gig. And so anyway, she's a flooring installer in New York. She works on all the high rise, the multi levels.
Oh, excellent.
She's probably like 100 pounds soaking wet. She's a little thing. But she says, yeah, I work with these burly, big old men. And, if the elevator wasn't working, I remember one day I had to get all the, I guess it was cement or adhesive that they had to grout, that they had to bring up to like the 25th or 30th floor. Anyway, the one elevator was out, but the pallet was already off the truck, so they had to pick up the cement bags and bring them over to the elevator. So she's lugging these things, and the guys are like, "Hey, listen, you let us do it." And she's like, "No, no, no, man, I'm going to carry my own weight." So, and then she said, "Listen, I have total rapport with my I'm the only
With
female
your crew,
with
right?
the
With your
crew,
colleagues.
and
Yeah.
they would back me up any day of the week if anybody gave her, some crap, excuse my French.
Yeah.
And but I earned it,
Mhm.
and I was like, oh, I would have loved to see you slugging some of those cement bags, over there, and having all the guys going, so
Yeah.
it's
And that's so valuable to know that this person realized the value of putting her weight in, being as available and willing as the next person to do the hard work, to do the hard labor. I know that that's something that some of our board members have shared, as far as those who make a decision at a certain point to stay in office as opposed to go on site, and just there being more information about the joy people can get out of being on site at a construction site, being there, watching things come to fruition, how valuable your work is, and how you can be respected and well treated and welcomed onto the site. Certainly there's a history there and it has to be overcome, but I do think there are organizations, ours and others, that are making strides to make sure that people feel welcome. And I do feel really folks are welcoming people who are willing to do the hard work, people who are smart and talented and have the skill set.
Yeah, I will put a caveat with Abby though. Her dad was a big time carpenter, so she knew what a lot of the tools were, but she just didn't know which one it was until she got into one of the local trade union schools as an apprentice. And when they went in there, she was okay. Do I want to be a carpenter doing this? And she's like, "Ooh, flooring, that looks kind of neat." And then she figured it out, and that's where she is. And she found her calling. So it was a great interview, and but it was just cool when she said, I'm like 100 pounds, you soaking wet. And
I did the hard work.
And
I did the hard work.
And you would never expect her to be a flooring installer
and I earned their trust and respect in doing so.
Yeah, absolutely. So talk about what you see coming down the road, with initiatives of PWC and give our audience what's going on.
Absolutely. So PWC New York usually runs its year supported by 3 major fundraisers. We've got our golf outing that's coming up in June. In July. July 15th is our annual golf outing. We have a Salute to Women of Achievement dinner. Every year we do a gala dinner where we honor 3 women in the industry. And actually there's also a man that was honored a couple of years back as well. Just those who are blazing a trail, those who are creating opportunity for others, elevating women in this industry. So we honor them in a gala dinner in September. And then we have our holiday party, which is our fundraiser that we host in December. PWC also has 4 very active and involved committees. And I think it's important, if your audience is interested in any participation, not just in the New York chapter, but any of our chapters. There's a membership committee that's going to welcome you and celebrate, you being part of this group, part of this community. There are certain activities throughout the year, some lovely wine tastings and meet and greets that you'll get to connect with others in the industry. Mentorship is a committee that's very actively involved. I mentioned that before. Mentorship is a key cornerstone of what we do to try and get, those budding professionals lined up with someone with experience to, learn from the seasoned professional. You're going to learn what their tangible experience was and how it can better your career path.
How many members are between all the chapters? Like what's your
all the chapters? Ooh, that's a good question. My chapter I know is 700 members.
Oh, wow.
But all 6 chapters, I'd say maybe 5,000.
Wow.
Give or take. So it's a good number of folks. Of course, we are a younger, bit smaller chapter than some of the other associations that are. New York City is full of associations to be part of,
Right.
especially the construction industry. But I think we are one that's mighty and has an impact. I think that the people who are participating in PWC understand the nature of what we do. It's not a pay to play. You're coming in to be involved in this community. You're sponsoring events that you care about. If your company wishes to sponsor either an event, a fundraiser. We also have annual sponsors who support us all throughout the year. And I feel that the members, kind of know what they're getting here. Our hope is to get those who are in mid-level or junior level positions into a C-suite, or on their way up to a C-suite position. That's a passion that's actually comes directly from our board of directors. We have 12 incredibly talented and dedicated individuals who support our mission. Our 12 all-female board of directors, and their support, along with those committees I mentioned, help us share the work that we do, and also find out where the pain points are. I think one piece of the programming that we do, the board sits together. We have a retreat every year. We talk about what the next year will look like. In just a few days, we have our transportation forum on Thursday morning. It's going to be over at the Yale Club, and it's about talking about the capital projects at Amtrak and Port Authority, but also what are the other conversations that our members are having that they need to hear more about? Is it healthcare? Is it aviation? Is it AI? Is it where are the conversations happening? Where's the next set of business happening? Is it water and wind? And New York City, of course, has all these agencies, and there's always work opportunities through them that we want to better understand. And MWBE, we have a committee completely dedicated to the work of the Women and Minority Business Enterprise, making sure that we're connecting MWBE usually smaller firms with primes, with bigger firms, with larger construction companies. So there's opportunity for growth and to move up to how do you go from being a sub to a prime.
What's the criteria to become a member? How does that work? Is it just a simple application or?
Yep, very simple. I mean, anyone could become a member of PWC. You go onto our website, pwc-ny.org. That's the best place to start. You go onto the website, you'll click join. You'll be able to put in your information. Some folks select a corporate membership, and your company can sponsor that, and you can get a number of members depending on the level of membership. Or there's the individual membership where someone can just come on. Maybe their job is not involved and they just wish to join this association. They're welcome to do so. We also offer a student membership as well. So for students, it's a little less expensive.
Yeah. So is Atlanta on your radar to open a chapter? You know what?
There's been some interest from Atlanta. There's been some interest from Arizona. Like right now, clearly we are a Northeast centric association, but we've recently, the national chapter has recently established its own board. It's going to be, working on expanding across the country. And there's lots of interest, some down in Texas as well. So you keep your eyes open. We'll be coming down.
Well, if you want any help in Atlanta, the only reason I say that is there's a bunch of Yankees living down here like me. We're called damn Yankees. We came here and we stayed here, and with our accents, but every Fortune 500 company has an office in Atlanta. It's got the biggest airport in the world, and the bottom line is a lot of people here, but a lot of big brands have their corporate headquarters here. So if I can be, if CCR Magazine can be, of help.
Thank you so much. No, absolutely. We'll take you up on it. There's definitely opportunity for synergy there, and PWC wishes to grow. We want to make sure that the information and the opportunity for connecting women is available.
Yeah. I've done an event at the Yale Club.
Oh, you have?
Yeah, I knew a judge. My mother, one of her friends, he was a judge in New York, and he went to Yale, so he got me in there, and we used to do our New York reception before the shutdown in 2020. I did 6 issues a year, but every month I did a cocktail party around the country. So we always did New York in September during the San Gennaro Festival, like in that time.
Oh, look at that!
So we did the Chelsea Pier. We've been all over, Midtown. Yeah. We found some really cool places, and but one of them, we were in the Yale Club, and and Gregory, he rest in peace, he's passed now, but he got me in there, and people are like, how'd you get in there? And it's like impossible. I'm like, oh, I know a judge, man. He's my mom's friend. And
Yeah, no,
we got a
I
phone call and we got it
appreciate
in there, you know?
there's a relationship between PWC New York and the Yale Club. So we're very lucky and fortunate to
Yeah,
be
yeah.
in their space, but that's very cool.
So anybody that's out there in commercial construction coffee talk, all right, here's an organization, they're promoting women, and, you know, not just construction, in other areas as well, but, you know, that's probably their main focus, at least what I gathered from the press release. So if anybody out there was interested in maybe becoming a member, or maybe, hey, I would love to open up a chapter in my town, if I'm in Tulsa, Oklahoma, or Dallas, Texas, or Denver, wherever, how would they reach out to you, or they would just go to the PWC NY, you know,
I would say, well, I think in my region, I encourage people to come to the PWC NY, but I think that what you're mentioning there is bigger than that, and that would be pwcusa.org. So that's our
there you go.
national chapter, pwcusa.org. There definitely is a button there that asks about starting a chapter, and that's just about communicating with our national office and sharing interest, and they'll reach out to talk about what that would look like and what the opportunity would be. Yeah, no, we'd love to have that. We'd absolutely love to see expansion and growth.
So everybody out there, PWC USA or New York, whichever way you want to go, and
Yeah.
and if no one helps you, you know, listen, you know, you ask for this nice lady, and she'll help you. You know?
I'm
Yeah.
there to help. Absolutely. You can also find me
Miss Gina,
personally
where is
on
she?
LinkedIn. You can look for Gina Rivera on LinkedIn as well. I am there listed as PWC.
Well, I'm going to send you an invite today. You
Yeah.
know, I'm going to send it to you, and so you have me in there. So,
Absolutely.
As we finish up here, if there was, you know, you've got a very, very, very cool background. I mean, going from the arts to construction.
I know, very
Both
non-traditional,
ends
right?
of the
And I was impressed that at one of my first PWC events, I met two other folks who actually had come from the music world into the construction world. And I was like, I didn't know there was so much synergy between the two. My family is rooted in, and family members who worked in, electrical, great grandfather who dug the Long Island Tunnel, like lots of, connections
Nice.
and stonemasons and plumbers and stuff like that. But it's an interesting path, right, to come from classical music into the construction industry.
Yeah, no, hey, listen, listen, they play tunes on the construction site, you know, for at lunch or wherever, you know, it's just one of those things. It's a nice match. So if you were going to leave one positive thought or phrase with our listeners as we finish up, what would it be?
I would say that my positive thought is to go for it. I think that we need to be brave. I think if anything over the last 4 years, it's taught us to not hold ourselves back, not limit ourselves to any one description of direction. Go for it.
Hey, I love go for it. I mean, I go for it every day, and
Same. I feel the same. I do every
that
day.
was actually my knowledge vault. I've been running now since the beginning of the year. I do about 5 or 6 miles, and I do a little video. I do a little video. What's on my mind? But I always leave a positive thought. And the one that I left the other day was, to move forward, you got to get going. So start now. Not yesterday, not today,
Right.
not last month. Start now. Because there's still 6 months left in the year if you didn't have a New Year's resolution.
Yes.
And you do it every day, every week, every month till the end of the year. And December 31st, you can look at it and you will be a bet, whatever you're trying to do. I don't care if it's the way you brush your hair or the way you're playing a guitar or whatever you want. Just do it and go for it. I'm gonna bridge back to you as a digital marketer.
I love it.
So anyway, you can take that to the bank, and pleasure speaking with you.
What a pleasure speaking with you, David. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. It was lovely.
No, listen, the way you get on here, everybody, I've said it a million times. You got, she got on here because I got a press release. I look at everything, and then I look for cool people that, hey, this is something. Plus, I have the student newsletter. I'm into the labor, trying to fill up those voids. But if you don't send him anything, I can't look at it. It's like playing the lottery. So, if you don't buy a ticket,
buy a ticket.
You got to play to win. So, this is how you get on, and that's my next segue. So, a couple of things before we finish up. Number one, if you're on the construction site, we want you to be safe. Okay. You want you to get home. We want you want to see your spouse, your pets, your kids, whatever, and be able to catch some REM sleep, wake up with a smile on your face, positive attitude, and get to the job site and do it again the next day. Number two, it's summertime. Okay. So, I don't know. I thought I had my bottle of water. Oh, here it is. Make sure you're staying hydrated. This is the athlete in me. Okay. When you're not hydrated, you get dehydrated. You get headaches. That's when you get hurt on the athletic field. Same thing on the construction site. If you don't stay hydrated, you put some electrolytes in your bottle, keep yourself liquefied. The summer heat's coming down here. The humidity really hasn't gotten in it, but it's hot, so I sweat my tail off every day. And I think it was 90, 92 yesterday. And first day I was layering up here for the first 5 or 6 months. And yesterday I was in a t-shirt and I still came home. My wife's like, "Oh my God, you're still soaked." I'm like, "I know, man. I have a good pace." So at 61 with both my ACLs done. But regardless, stay liquefied. You'll sleep better, you'll feel better, and it's just good for your body. Lastly, for all you out there, okay, we were just under 5 million interactions last month on the website. So thank you so much for finding us, and hit the like button so we can get the algorithms out there to find the story, and so people can find out about PWC and Miss Gina up in the Big Apple. All right. So please hit it. All right. It's not going to hurt. Hit the like button. Okay. And we'd appreciate it. So Miss Rivera, pleasure meeting you. And
Pleasure meeting you.
From Beantown to New York and
Yes.
Staten Island,
And who knows where next? You never know.
Yeah. And what a great story, music to construction, you're helping people. Doesn't get much better. I mean, what a great job.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. The through line is the service of others, right? Thinking about how can I serve others in any circumstance? How can PWC serve, but how can I also be that person that serve? You're doing the same exact thing in all your, touch points, right? In all the ways that you interact with others.
Yeah. Talk about interacting. If someone wants to get in touch with me, email me at davidc@ccr-mag.com. And like I said, if you've got a press release, I don't care if it's an anniversary, a new product announcement, case study, a new project that you launch, whatever it might be, send it to me. We look at everything. We post a bunch of stuff all day. We're content creators these days now that we're 100% digital. And, don't judge a book by cover. Just send it to me. We come back to you. Our TAT, or turnaround time, is about 48 hours or less. And we'll send the URL, you share it. It's good for your SEO, which is search engine optimization. That's how Google finds you. That's about how 90% of the people come to me. They find me on page one. I got thousands and thousands of pages out there because I've been around for 25 years. And look, it's just a win-win. So send it to me. Let us look at it. And we love it. We data is addicting. We just like looking at everything. And I picked Miss Gina's release out of a bunch. And I was like, "Oh, there's someone. I think I'm going to send her back. Hey, we should have this person on our show." So that's how you got there. So, and if you don't ask, you won't know. So there you go.
Absolutely.
So with that said, everybody, listen, it's Tuesday, it's hump day tomorrow, and then a couple days later, TGIF and another weekend. And this is an exciting month for me. I've got my anniversary on the 24th. I'm going to be 61 on the 29th, 4th of July weekend. And then my son and my wife were born on the same day on July 16th. So it's kind of like a really nice little holiday. And then I kind of go into the summer, and then school starts early here. They'll go back probably the first week in August. I'll see the buses.
Oh my goodness, early.
Yeah, I'm from the north. It was after Labor Day. You went back to
You
school.
must have been shocked with the change.
Well, they get out in like the middle of May. So
That's true
you get out in
my daughter's still in school until the 26th of June.
Yeah, so I get it, so, but yeah, they get out here early. So traffic's kind of late. And, my son, he goes, "Oh, traffic's not that bad." I'm like, "School's out, dude.
Right.
Just wait.
Wait until you're in the thick of it in September."
Wait. Yeah. I said early August when it starts out, you're going to have to decide which way you're going to go. Right now, enjoy it while it's here. So, well, with that said, say goodbye from the Big Apple.
Goodbye, everyone. Thank you so much. It was good to chat.
Absolutely. And I'm going to sign off from Sugar Hill, which is about 30 miles north of downtown Atlanta, right below the Buford Dam on Lake Lanier. It's got 600 miles of coastline. It's really, really cool. That's where our lake lot is. And I'm going to be up there pretty much every day up there. We're the contractor building it, and it'll be fun. If hopefully my wife and I will make it through without yelling at each other. Why did we do it that way? I'm like, "Hey, you're the interior designer, not me. I'm just So no, it's going to be really, really fun. And just like today, I said, you go deal with the architect. I got a podcast. I'll go deal with the sewer guy in the morning, and we'll figure it out. And but with that said, listen, everybody, have a great rest of the week. And Gina, when I come up to New York, I look forward to meeting you. And
Please do.
and meeting maybe some of the board members and so forth. And everybody have a great rest of the week. And we will see you next time on another episode of Commercial Construction Coffee Talk. Thoroughly enjoyed the conversation, Gina. Thank you for being a guest. And
Thank you so much. This was great to chat with you.
Absolutely. And we'll see you later. Everybody have a great rest of the afternoon. Ciao.